Yo, what up, peoples? We out here with another episode of Go the Mission. This is Ngoriaklo Corey Johnson. I'm your host. And you know what? It's a beautiful day here in St. Joseph, Michigan. In fact, it's a holiday, Labor Day. And yes, I am still laboring today between homework and actual work. I'm actually on duty right now, but the grind don't stop. But hey, before we get into it, I want to just take a moment to thank you all for tuning in. And I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube and share the content with people around you. Thank you for the support. We're trying to get the message and these stories out there, and I can't do it by myself, and it's not just my message anyway. Every share and every like helps this to grow. Now, we've completed the first week of school here at Andrews last week, and I won't lie, it felt like it was the third week of school for us between all of the orientation and work training, and I'm feeling it, can't lie. But, you know, life is all about continuing to push through and continuing to level up. And as I mentioned before, in the previous episode, I feel quite refreshed from my time overseas. And right here is a shameless plug for a video I just uploaded on YouTube and Facebook with the highlights of day 4 of my experience over in Portugal. Absolutely amazing. Go check it out. It's Ngoriaklo on YouTube and Instagram. That's Ngoriiakl on YouTube and Instagram. And look up my name in Facebook to link up there as well. Now, I feel personally leveled up, but we labor to level up. So I wanted to share a couple awesome level ups with you all today. But first, I'm gonna talk about my favorite musical. Actually, the only musical I've ever seen live, Hamilton. This is the story about someone who's constantly trying to level up and to do more with his time and resource and ability, all in pursuit of this question or this ideal. What is the legacy that I'll leave behind? Will my story be worth telling, and what will they say about me? So, the character Hamilton is driven to be better, to do more, and to leave his mark on history. In fact, it's like a collaboration album that they did alongside the actual Broadway album. And my favorite song on that one is called Who Tells Your Story? And I won't lie, I think of the same things sometimes. But to leave a positive legacy, you have to labor. You need to work hard to level up, not just for the sake of yourself, but also for the people around you. Now, you all know that I spent many years as a canvasser down in Hotlanta, the ATL. Yeah, I haven't done it for a few years now, but I always stay in the loop with my former leaders and students. And I was actually down in Atlanta a few weeks back working on another hype theme song for the summer program. Soar like eagles, soar like eagles. Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't, check it out. It's live. But I was working with the mobile one, Bernita Samuel, to get that done. And while I was down there, we talked about the summer program and how things were leveling up from the past. Now, I've been a part of some amazing summers. I remember being a part of the team that hit the $2,000 van. I remember being a part of $200,000 summers. I remember testimonies left and right, people's lives being changed all over the place. Man, when I tell you that it gets hot, man, we make it hot. But this past summer was actually on a different level. Let me give you some context. So last summer, all right, remember in March 2020, COVID had just become a thing. And so this is clearly going to impact canvassing, right? Almost all the canvassing programs shut down. You're literally talking about going door to door, business to business, wherever you can find the people to share the gospel. But the last thing we were trying to do is go wherever we can find people to share some COVID. So the Atlanta program started out in these like church bubbles where they essentially became like a call center, like a social networking hub for students to reach out to people that they knew primarily to help support. And man, did they come through. From the group of students in the program last summer, and there weren't that many. A lot of parents weren't comfortable with their kids going to be a part of a program in the pandemic, you know, and reasonably so. But it might have been less students who were there, and it might have only been 6 weeks of canvassing that they did. but the books still went out at a high clip and the students did quite well for themselves. And as I mentioned, this was only 6 weeks compared to the usual 10 weeks that the summer program typically is. Okay, so you got that, and now we go through the rest of the year still with COVID, making all the adjustments, and you guys know how it was. We were all there, and now you get to this past summer. How would you expect it to go? Any better, any different? Well, more than a year into COVID, and we see how things have kind of gotten a little more spicy. I use that word. Whether it's people promoting mask wearing or people promoting no mask wearing, whether it's vaccines or against anti-vaccine, it's a madhouse out there, and people don't really know what the truth is anymore. You know, the reality is there are so many different agendas getting pushed, and it's just hard to trust someone with what could really be a life or death decision these days. Not only that, but the isolation. You have people getting used to being in their own bubbles, keeping everyone out, and for fear of health, which makes sense. And canvassing is going to try to make a comeback this summer. Hey, but they certainly did make a comeback. When I heard what happened this summer, it blew my mind on so many levels. First, the opposite of what I expected actually happened at the doors. Now, usually students have a difficult time, or it's more of a challenge normally to have people that are willing to invite you in, to listen to what you have to say, to see the books, and for you to spread them all out for them to choose. That's probably on the rarer side of the canvassing experience. And so I kind of expected the same thing, especially with people being more in their bubbles and isolated. Me, I'm an introvert. I love being by myself, and just that's how I chill, that's how I recharge. And it seemed like a lot of people, at least from my viewpoint, that's kind of what they were getting used to. But where I thought more students would end up getting rejected, there were actually more getting invited into homes to share themselves and the books with people, the message with people. And you ask yourself why? Well, for a year plus, you have the majority of people that have been starved of real life communication, like people. And they've been limited to doing things as far as human interaction, like Zoom. Oh, gross. And even at that, half the people that you have on Zoom don't have their cameras on anyway. So if you're lucky to hear a voice, you're definitely not seeing a face. That's a pretty poor excuse for human interaction, right? So get this, you've got people who are starved for human interaction, and you have students who would usually be dealing with the police, whether it's mean and closed off people at a higher level. But now they're having the opportunity to deal with people who want, more than they even knew, some real personal contact. And now, because the people are more open to the students, there's an opportunity, a greater opportunity, to share more about the individual as well as the mission. And the number of books and the message going out ends up skyrocketing. Absolutely amazing. Completely the reverse of what I would have assumed and what many would have thought. You know, I remember, man, it was hard leading teams and working the amount of work that we had to put in to get to the $2,000 van. And it was the only $2,000 van I was ever a part of. But this past summer, teams were dropping $2,000 vans with less students than I had on the daily. You know, you'd usually expect a 2-van program to hit around 90,000 for the summer. And this past summer, 2 vans were hitting 120 by the end of week 8. Praise God for that. But realize, the leveling up that's going on here, it's happening because the world is thirsty for truth. They're so much in need of something that you can trust. They want something that's real, where the agenda isn't some vague thing for a faceless person's benefit or for this party or that party's benefit, but actually for your benefit. But don't miss the point. In an age of confusion, I call it the information age is what we call it in. I'd said that it's probably better characterized as the age of misinformation, right? Go look up that Denzel Washington clip on that. Oh man, he nails it. But the thing is, people are looking for something real that's going to be of a benefit and actually help them to get further in their experience in a way that's not just benefiting that side or that side, but actually a real help to them. Don't miss the point. We're in an age of confusion, an age of deception and manipulation. It's not a coincidence that there's a greater desire for truth. And the most important truth that we can be promoting right now and talking about right now isn't about the numbers when it comes to masks. Yeah, I believe that they're useful and they have their place, but I don't think that's the most important message and the most important truth that can be out there. Same thing with the vaccines. I got mine. I admit it. I got it for the express purpose of traveling, but I did get it. I trusted that. I trusted the research. There's a lot of people out there who are not convinced, and that's okay. The point is, there's something even bigger and more important in regards to truth that people are hungry for right now. Don't miss it, and don't miss your opportunity to contribute positively to it. When we stay inside of our Christian bubbles, our Christian comfort zones, absolutely nothing changes. This is why it's always a funny conversation. People ask me where I'm studying. I say the seminary. They always assume I want to be a pastor, and I say absolutely not. The area that I want to have influence is anywhere but the church. I want to be outside. I want to be among people who don't think the same way that I do, that don't look like me, that don't think or act like me. There's so much to learn from so many other cultures and so much to share with so many different kinds of people. That's where I want to be. And I can guarantee you that's always going to be outside of my comfort zone. But within that comfort zone, nothing changes. We somehow find the time and energy to argue if I can't even say this with a straight face. We somehow find time and energy to argue if the vaccine is the mark of the beast. Oh man, if there's microchips in our blood now, and are we serious? And then further, it'd be one thing if we just had a civil disagreement on that, but then it comes to, who's going to hell and who's not for taking the vaccine or not. And we completely forget that there's a world out there in need of the life-saving truth that we have. Don't miss the point. What will your legend become? What will be the story that they tell about you? Will your story be worth telling? Okay. If you didn't catch it from the first part, you cannot level up in your comfort zone. You can't. It's not possible. And again, this is why I love the mission field and local missions. Anything that's outside of your comfort zone. You don't have to travel halfway around the world to go outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes going outside of your comfort zone, I'm in a dorm right now. Sometimes going outside of your comfort zone is going across the hall or over to the next table. But you cannot grow inside. You can't level up in your comfort zone. You have to be outside of it if you're going to find ways to grow. And when you go outside, you realize that there's always something new you can learn, and there's always a new way to grow. So here at Andrews, right? Last year, we had about 15 students who were willing to get out of their comfort zone to try something new. And you might be saying, wow, it's a decent number. Well, the year before, it was even fewer. And when I think of the state of missions overall, take 2010, first time I went out as a missionary. I remember well over 100, like 150 different students who were gathered there. we were filling up that auditorium room. Students who were ready to go. And that's just missionaries who were going to the South Pacific. More than 150. The last time I was in orientation in Hawaii a few years ago, there were about 50 to 60. And that was it. Slim pickings. 10 years. And how many less students being motivated? How many less young people being motivated to go out into the mission field, to get out of their comfort zone, to go and serve? And then you have those, of course, a couple of years back who had their experience cut short by the pandemic as well. So now you're left with the very few who decided to stay in their locations despite the pandemic, which is measurably less. You get the point. But you know what? Last year we said 15, we want more. We want to level this up. We want to see more students excited about missions. We want to see more young people dedicated to the idea of serving someone outside of their comfort zone. And man, we got on that grind. Getting the word out there, different programs we were able to put on despite the pandemic, despite COVID restrictions, having conversations with students in offices for hours on end, engaging on campus, seeking to light a spark for missions and service here to fuel that flame into something great. And praise God, it paid off. You know, I'm proud to say that Andrews actually doubled the number of missionaries from last year to this one. And across 14 different countries: South Korea, Costa Rica, Haiti, Lebanon, Honduras, Saipan, Majuro, Guam, Yap, Palau, Costa Rica, Canada, Brazil, and here in the US. Absolutely amazing. More than 30 missionaries. They're out there right now, serving, outside of their comfort zone, growing, living in a different culture, doing something different. And they're gonna grow in ways that most people will never understand unless they go out and serve for themselves. But we're not done. Here at Andrews University, the mission should be our calling card. The university is known as Andrews University, but it should be known for students with the same drive like Andrews, the missionary. That statue ain't out there for nothing. I want to see, this is what I'm putting out there right now. All right, I want to see the number of missionaries double again from last year to this one. Why not? Why not? No days off. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep laboring. We're going to keep trying to level up. So I know what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a lot more conversations. It's going to be a lot more engagement. Introvert or not, I'm going to be out there around the people to say a word or something about missions and service. I know exactly what I'm going to be working towards this year. Let me ask you, where will you be? What will you be working towards? What will your legacy be? Who will tell your story? Don't throw away your shot. As always, to exist, it's not enough. We out here to be out here. So until next time, let it do what it do, baby. I heard it from some other YouTubers, and it's true. It doesn't cost you anything to like this video. It doesn't cost you anything to share this video. So why not? Let's get the message out there. Do your part.